Hello learners. After going through the basic concepts of Java programming, class, object, different part of class such as its instance variables, its methods, the process of creating object, the process of calling methods, in this video we are going to discuss about a very special method named constructors. Those who are not familiar with these concepts I have just mentioned, I would request them to go through my previous video, which are a very easy illustration of these concepts. So why constructors are used? To answer this question I will demonstrate an example here. Here I have created a class box having three instance variable: height, width and breadth. The box class also consists two methods, a set value method and a calculate volume method. This set value method accepts three parameters, and using these parameters it initializes the instance variables. This calculate volume method calculates the volume and return the value. Inside another class test, I have created object of this box class. After creation of the object, I have initialized the object. Here the object is b1 using the set value method of this box class, using three set of values 22.5, 34.5 and 7.2. As we know that whenever a function call arises, the method definition associated with this method call gets executed. So here this definition of set value will be executed and the instance variable will be initialized with the set of values passed into it. And then I have called the calculate volume method to calculate the volume, and that value get displayed here. The important thing which I want to emphasize is that the creation of object and its initialization are two separate lines. Here I have separately created an object and then explicitly called another method of the same class box to initialize the object. Now this creation of object and initializing it can be done in a more better and compact way using a special kind of method named constructor. Here I have used the constructor and initialize the object using the constructor. The same class as in the previous example is again designed here, but with different set of methods. As you can see here, I have created two new methods with the same name as of the class name. One method consists three parameters, one method does not consist any parameter, and I have removed the set value method which is earlier there in the box class here. Now this method is known as constructor, and I have used the constructor here to create an object and to initialize it. So here the object gets created and this set of values pass into the constructor and the instance variable get initialized. So the previous two lines where I have created the b1 object and initialized it with an explicit function call or method call is not there here in this example. So in this context, constructor comes into the picture. Constructors are special method having the same name as of the class name, does not have any return type, and it need not be called explicitly using the object name and the dot operator, as is the case with the simple instance methods. Simple instance methods or methods needed to be called using the object name and the dot operator, as is the case here. But you can see object need not be called using the dot operator and object name. It gets automatically invoked during the creation of the object and does its duty. The interesting thing is that object was created here in this example where set value was there, also used during the creation of the object. Constructor is also used here, but there is no definition of the constructor available in the box class. Well, whenever you don't write, or programmer don't explicitly write a constructor inside a class, Java compiler by default provide a constructor. Another thing is that you can see in this example, this constructor consists 3 parameters and this one does not consist any parameters. So the constructor which possesses parameters are known as parameterized constructor, and the constructor which does not possesses any parameter called default constructor. Or in a better language, I should say the constructor which accepts some values are known as parameterized constructor, and the constructor which does not accept any value are known as default constructor. Whenever programmer does not write any constructor, whether it is default or parameterized, Java compiler provides a default constructor automatically. Therefore, although I have not written any constructor inside box class, Java automatically associated a default constructor with it. Therefore, I can write this statement as this default constructor is automatically provided by Java compiler. But once you have written a constructor, say you have written this one, Java stops providing the default constructor. So Java will not provide automatically this one. So if you need to use this one into your program, you have to explicitly write it. Therefore, as I have written this parameterized constructor here inside the box class, therefore if I need to use, as I have used here, I have created another object b2, and in case of b2 I don't want to be initialized with any value, or I want to be initialized with 0 values. I want to be initialized its instance variable with 0 values. Therefore I have used the default constructor here. But if I don't explicitly write the definition of this default constructor inside the box class, then this statement will be an error, because Java does not provide a default constructor if programmer write an constructor explicitly inside any class. So as long as you don't write anything, any constructor, Java will provide one. But if you write a constructor, Java stops providing the default constructor. So the takeaway with this slide is that the Java object creation and initialization can be done in a more compact way using constructor. And constructor is a special kind of method having the same name as of the class name, and it does not have any return type. Normally you can compare with the constructor with this one, calculate volume. This is a normal method, simple method, and we know that a method must have a return type, as is the case here. The calculate volume method has a return type double, but the constructors does not have any return type. These are two notable points or the takeaway from this slide. Now let's discuss some of the features of constructor. A constructor is a specialized method used to initialize the state of an object during creation. We have seen here, using this parameterized constructor, I have created an object b1 and initialized its instance variable with these values 22.5, 34.5 and 7.2. These two values are used to initialize the instance variable inside the object, and changing the value of the instance variables or putting any values is known as changing the state of an object. So a constructor is a specialized method used to initialize the state of an object. We are doing here initializing the state of an object, initializing the instance variable inside an object. A constructor must have the same name as of the class name. That is also we have seen. A constructor must not return a value. Yes, the constructor does not have any return type, therefore no questions of returning any values. If programmer does not create a constructor, then Java compiler automatically creates a default constructor. That is, I have also discussed. Generally, constructor are defined as public. This point needed to be illustrated. See, if I put a private access specifier in front of any constructor, then what will happen? Then the constructor will become private, and it is absolutely correct. Writing public or private or default or any access specifier, valid access specifier of Java with constructor is not wrong, it is absolutely correct. But if I write private, then all the rule associated with public or private or any access specifier will apply on that constructor. Therefore, if it become private, then it cannot be accessed outside the class where it is defined. That means this constructor, the use of this constructor will be limited inside this class only. Therefore, this statement where I have created an object b1 of the class box inside the test class will be wrong, because then this box constructor will be private, and as we know that a private instance variable or method of a class cannot be accessed outside the class where it is defined. So therefore, creation of object like this one needed to be done inside this box class. Therefore, generally what programmers do is that it is defined, or the constructors are defined as public, so that object creation can be done anywhere in the program. Now that we have learned a little bit about constructor, we'll see how many types of constructors available in Java. In Java, there are two types of constructors available. One is default constructor and one is parameterized constructor. The default constructor are the ones which does not accept any values, and the parameterized constructor are the ones which accepts some values. We have seen here this box constructor, as it is accepts some values or some parameters, therefore it is known as parameterized constructor. And this box constructor, as it does not accept any values or any parameter, it is known as default constructor. Now we'll discuss a special type of constructor named copy constructor. Why it is needed? To understand that, let's consider we have a class which consists of 50 or 60 instance variable. Here the box class only consists of 3 instance variables: length, breadth and height. But consider a class which possesses 50 or 60 instance variables, and somehow we have created an object of that class and initialized that object with a set of 50 or 60 values. Now if I want to create another object of this class with same 50 or 60 values, which I have already used to create the previous object, then either I have to write all the values once again to initialize the second object, or I have to find a smarter way to do it. Copy constructor just comes into picture at this context. What it does is that it initializes a newly created object with the values of already created object. Let's illustrate the concept of copy constructor with this example. Here I have created a box class with 3 constructors. This one, obviously, as it is not accepting any values or it does not have any parameters, so it is a default constructor. This one is a parameterized constructor. This one is also a parameterized constructor, but its parameter is an object reference of the same class. It is constructor, but its parameter is an object reference of the same class. So now going to the details of test class to understand how these constructors are used. Here I have created the b1 object with default constructor. Therefore the instance variable of the b1 will be initialized with the 0 values, as is the case with the body of the default constructor. Now these b2 objects are initialized with the values 3.5, 7.9 and 8.0, as I have used a parameterized constructor here. So this one will be executed and the length, breadth and height will be initialized with 3.5, 7.9 and 8.0 respectively. But here, this is the interesting thing. Here I have created the object b3 with the values of b2, or during the creation of object b3 I have passed b2 as a parameter. My intention is to create an object b3 with the same set of value that b2 possesses. So b2 will be passed here in this constructor. This one matches the call because this constructor call does not match with this one, as it does not accept any parameter, nor this one, as it is accepting parameters but different data type. But this one matches because its parameter, it is accepting a parameter of type box, and here we are passing also the same b2. Therefore the length, breadth and height which belongs to the newly created object b3, therefore it is length, breadth of height of b3, gets the values of b dot length, here b referring to b2, therefore this b is actually b2. Then the length, that means b3's length become b2's length, b3's breadth become b2's breadth, or reverse is true actually, the b2's length become b3's length B2's breadth become B3's breadth, and B2's height become B3's height. So what happened after this line is that a new object B3 is created with the same set of value B2. So we don't have to write the three values once again, just we have to write the object whose values actually we want to use during the creation of a new object. Here it is B3. So here the copy constructor concept is explained. Using the copy constructor we can create new object and initialize it with the values of an already existing object. Now here we'll discuss about constructor overloading. As I have told you that constructor is a special kind of method, therefore as method overloading is there, therefore constructor overloading must be there in Java, and it is the case. Constructor overloading is there. Here to demonstrate the constructor overloading, I have used this example. Here I have created a book class where three constructors are defined. This book class consists of two instance variable of string data type and one instance variable of int data type. Now here I have created three objects with three versions of constructors. First one is a default, I have used the default constructor. Second one, a constructor with two values, therefore this constructor will be executed. And in the third case, that is during the creation of B3, I have used three values, therefore this constructor will be executed. Now recall the definition of method overloading or function overloading tells us that whenever we created or whenever we defined a single method more than once inside the same class with different method signature, then that process is called method overloading or function overloading. Here the constructor defines three times with different signature, therefore constructor overloading process happened here. Obviously in the copy constructor example also we have unknowingly used the constructor overloading method process. Here also constructor overloading takes place. This is a virtual or pictorial representation of the computer main memory whenever object is created. Three objects I have created here for the book class B1, B2 and B3. First one uses the default constructor where the string instance variables are initialized with blank string and the int instance variable initialized with 0 values, as is the case here for B1. As you can see, name and subject does not have any value and number of page only contains 0 value. The B2 object initialized with two values, one string value and one integer value. So this constructor will be executed and name will be initialized with the values computer application and number of page will be initialized with 264 values, as is the case here. Name gets initialized with the value passed into the constructor and number of page get initialized with the 264 value. And B3, whenever we have created the B3, we have used three values, coincidence biology and 188, and those values are used to initialize instance variable name, subject and number of page respectively. So that is what happened here. v3 object, all three instance variables are initialized with a value passed during the creation of v3. Okay, now along with constructor there is another special kind of method available in Java, named Constructor. To understand the use of Constructor, we have to consider the case where we are creating lots of objects inside a program. See, if a class is available, there is technically no restriction how many objects we can create. We can create thousands, even lakhs of objects from a class. But whenever we are creating an object, we are allocating some memory against each object. But the computer main memory or RAM is a limited physical quantity. That means the addressable memory or the memory locations are limited in each and every computer. No matter how much big the main memory is, there is a physical limit. So we practically cannot create unlimited number of or lakhs of objects. Therefore, if we go on create object, one point of time we will run out of memory and new object creation will not be possible. So the way to go is that whenever we does not require an object, we should destroy it, free its memory, so that new object can be created with that memory. This work is done using the destructor. The beautiful thing is that to know when an object is no longer used in your program, you don't have to do anything. Java automatically detects which objects are no longer needed into your program, when to call a destructor, and how to destroy that object. All are done automatically by Java. Just you have to know how destructor looks like, what are its features. Apart from that, everything is handled by Java automatically. So let's say it. Destructor is a specialized method that gets called automatically when an object is no longer in use. Destructor destroys the object by deallocating its memory. Destructor gets called automatically. Programmer need not worry about it. What I have said earlier. Now let's discuss some of the characteristics of destructor, how it looks like, how does it work, these sort of things. A destructor invoked automatically by the compiler to destroy object. So whenever a Java compiler understand or recognize that it needs to destroy some objects, it calls the destructor. A destructor has the same name as of the class name, but it preceded with a tile symbol. So here a destructor of this book class will have the same name as of the class name, and it's a function. Therefore these two opening bracket, first opening bracket and closing bracket will be there. Therefore it will look like a constructor, but will precede it with a tile symbol. That's how a destructor looks like. It has the same name as of the class name, but preceded with a tile symbol. Therefore constructor will look like just like a constructor. A destructor will look like a constructor, but it will preceded with a tile symbol. A destructor has the same name as of the class name, but it preceded with a tile symbol. When a destructor is get invoked, the object is destroyed, the memory gets freed to be used. Destructor has no return type, not even void. Destructor does not return any value, therefore it does not have any return type, and it also does not have any return type, not even void. And as it does not have any return type, therefore there is no question of returning any value. Well, now discuss some of the difference between constructor and method. Constructor is a method, but it's a special kind of method. So what are the specialties and how it differs from object? Let's discuss those points here. Constructors must have the same name as of the class name. Constructor should be possesses the same name must possess the same name as of the class name, but method must not have the same name as of the class name. Method must have different name. Constructor gets called automatically during the creation of object, that we have already seen in the previous example, that we need not call the object constructor. It gets automatically called during the creation of the object, but method needed to be called using object name and dot operator. That is also we have seen. Constructor must not have a return type, not even void. Yes, method must have return type. It does not return a value. If it does not return a value, then the return type should be void. If no constructor available in a class, Java compiler creates a default constructor automatically. It is true. That is also we have discussed, that if no constructor is available, then Java automatically provides a default constructor. But in case of method, Java compiler does not create any method automatically. Whatever method you require or programmer require, you have to explicitly write inside the class. Constructor is not inherited by the subclass. Methods are inherited by the subclass. Well, this point is related with the inheritance property of Java. So let's not go into the details. For your sake of knowledge, I will illustrate a bit this point. See, in inheritance, a new class is created from an already existing class. The created class is known as child class or subclass, and the class from where it is created is known as base class or parent class. Now, what this point says is that whenever inheritance happens, the subclass or the newly created class inherits the methods. It can take the method whichever available inside the base class or the parent class, but it cannot take or inherit the constructors which are available with the base class or the parent class. So therefore subclass can inherit the method from the base class, but it cannot inherit the methods, or I should rather say the constructors from a base class. Subclass cannot inherit the constructor, but it can inherit the methods. This is what all about constructor in your syllabus. Go through this video repeatedly to understand different aspects of constructor. Complete these homeworks, as these are related, very much related to the matter we have discussed into this video. Happy learning and thank you.